Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys, we are going to be doing a deck profile of Exodia! No one's ever summoned him before! Ah! Yes, Exodia, Explodia, Exodia! Oblivion! Yes, whatever you want to say, I'm just doing all the different memes we've heard of this card throughout the years right now, and you're all probably cringing just a bit. But yes, guys, this deck I've always, had fun playing with. I know it's kind of like a meme on this channel. It's probably going to be after this because, a guy named Seto Kaiba, for his channel name, is doing a deck profile of Exodia. What's more ironic than that? So, saying all that, guys, and getting down into the nuts and bolts now of this deck, there's two different ways you can play Exodia, really, actually. You have a pure draw engine Exodia, which this is pretty much, you're trying to get Exodia turn 1, turn 2, at latest turn 3. That's what you're trying to do. And that deck is very simple to build. There's different tech options, like some people may want to throw in magical mallets, or this, or that, or a whole bunch of different other things. But that deck is very much self-centered. It's a play yourself deck. You're pretty much playing with yourself, so to speak, because it's a non-interactive deck. It's just all about draw, search. I have Exodia, I win. You're not doing anything with your opponent, and it makes it very boring. The second way you can play Exodia is playing with Exodia Support that we've gotten over the years. Things such as Exodiaincarnate, which is a really cool card that came out a couple years ago, or Oblivion, which is actually a card. So these are type of different ways you can play Exodia. There's two different types, and as you can see here, this is an incarnate build of Exodia. In addition to that, you're running cards like Oblivion. Now, can it draw into Exodia turn 2, turn 1? Yeah, you can do that very easily with this deck, but I wanted to make it more of an interactive deck because I have played the draw engine Exodia. It's fairly simple, and it's just, I find it very boring, to be honest. And I want to do something with my opponent. I want to interact with them in some sort, shape, or form. And it doesn't hurt with the deck's consistency, really. It just gives it more versatility in what it can do. So you can pretty much, if you want to make it a pure draw engine, you take probably the Incarnate out, you take the Oblivion out, you put in some other cards, and there you go. You got yourself a pure draw Exodia deck. So it's very simple. And if you guys want to see a build of that, I can do that too. But this is just a Incarnate build. So we run the Exodia Head, we run his left arm, his right arm, his left leg, his right leg, and people always ask, what goes into the center of Exodia? What goes there? Is it Little D? Is it Trent, I've heard? Is it Blue Eyes Baby Dragon? Is it Baby Dragon? I mean, what is it? Well, I like to think, that it is a Blue Eyes White Dragon. It could be a Red Eyes Black Dragon. It could be a Blue Eyes White Dragon. It could be something like that. But I think instead of a Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is the 6th card for Exodia, I think it is the Legendary Dragon of White. That's what I think belongs in there. And that's all I'm going to say. And if your imagination is thinking something else, I don't know what it's thinking, but maybe it is. But I think it's a legend because it's a legendary deck of Exodia. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Moving on. But yeah, we run all 5 pieces of Exodia. That's probably the last meme I'm going to do for this video, so don't worry about it. Next, we run the legendary Exodiaincarnate, which is, as you can see, legendary White Dragon. Big brain plays. Now this card's pretty cool. I'm really happy they made this actually into a card a couple years ago, because if you guys are familiar with any of Yu-Gi-Oh's older school fake cards, there's a card called Dark Rabbi, which is pretty much a full body Exodia, which is kind of like this. And I've had people that haven't played this game for years, they'll look at this card and say, oh, it's a fake one. I'm like, no, that's legit. It's a legit card, and they just find it kind of funny. But this card's pretty decent. It can be a big beater that can add Exodia pieces from your graveyard back to your hand. I like that in the deck, honestly, for that reason alone, because it gives you, if your Exodia pieces somehow get to grave, if something happens, you can at least bring them back. And that's something that's very important. And the one reason I decided to go with the Incarnate build is something else I'll mention here, guys, is Exodia has kind of been nerfed in the modern era of Yu-Gi-Oh! To some degree because hand traps are more prevalent. And I think you may know where I'm going with this here. It's somewhat hard to get to Exodia turn 1, turn 2 consistently if you're taking it into a tournament or even a locals even. And you may say, why is that? Well, the main reason is because of things like Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs and Drillin' Lockbird. I have been Drillin' Lockbird when I've played this deck online. I have been Ash Blossom. And it sucks because it stops your draw power engine for the deck. And a perfectly timed Ash Blossom on certain searches or draws can really hurt you. So that's why I like a deck that is not just a glass cannon draw deck, that if it doesn't get to its combo pieces, it dies. So that's why you see me running things like Incarnate and whatnot. Next, I run 2 Blue Eyes White Dragon and 1 Toon Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now, a lot of people like running 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon for the fact that they can use it off trade-in, which is true. I like that. But me, I like the 2 regular Blue Eyes White Dragon and the 1 Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, which is so cool to run in the deck. I had the secret one I pulled years ago, actually, from Spell Ruler when the stuff got reprinted. But the reason they run this is because it's very searchable, and these work well with trade-in. The fact that this is kind of like your third Blue Eyes instead of running 3 standard is because this is searchable, because you can go Toon Table of Contents, Toon Table of Contents, Toon Table of Contents. And if you have just Toon Table of Contents and trade-in, which we'll talk about a little bit later, you can just automatically deck thin your deck and draw cards. It's really nice. And then this can be searchable through the White Stone of Legends, so you can easily add that in certain ways. So I like this ratio of just Blue Eyes Toon and 2 Blue Eyes White Dragon, and I find it iconic that we're running Blue Eyes cards in an Exodia deck, if you know the first episode of the anime. So I find that kind of funny all the time. Thank you to my boy Suji, who gave this to me years ago. Shout outs to my boy Suji, because he gave this to me, and it's a Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon, a White Stone of Legend first ed from Duelist Pack Kaiba, which is actually worth a little bit of money nowadays. But thank you to him for giving this to me about 5 years ago. I have not forgot about it. But this is in my Exodia deck, and I really love it because this gives me the ability to search out my Blue Eyes White Dragon for my deck. Now, yes, it's a tuner, and yes, you can do it for some certain plays. You can do things with it, but at the end of the day, it's mainly there to search Blue Eyes White Dragon, not to so much go for synchro plays, because there's really no way you're going to synchro with it, quote unquote. Next, I run 3 the Witch of the Black Forest, which back in the day we used to run Witch of the Black Forest. You guys may be familiar with that. If you're familiar with older Exodia decks from the early era of Yu-Gi-Oh! But in this deck, it serves 2 purposes. And the reason we're running this over things like Sangan and maybe some other things is for the fact that it's a spellcaster. Now, the fact that it, at the end of the turn with its errata, you can search out pretty much an Exodia piece. So this goes to grave, right? Okay, you get to search out Exodia piece. Cool. All right, well, what if I told you we can activate that on your turn to search that out instead of waiting? So we can easily search out an Exodia piece and draw cards. That's pretty good. So what we do is we're pretty much running this because this is another target for the Spellbook Engine in the deck. So you can use it with Spellbook of Knowledge, activate it on it. You get to search for an Exodia piece and draw 2 cards. Pretty good. So that's why I run Witch of the Black Forest. Now, there's other options you could run, but I really like this card in this deck for that reason. So 3 Witch of the Black Forest. Next, we run for our last monster. We run 1 Spellbook of Knowledge, Little Blue Boy. This is to help search out your Spellbook Engine. This is mainly going to help search out your knowledge and your Spellbook of Secrets, which can help search out your knowledge. So really, search, 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 activate on this, draw 2 cards. There you go. You've deck thinned your deck by technically 4 cards right there. Because 1, 2, draw 2, that's 4. So 4 cards you've deck thinned. So that's really nice. So that's why I run the Spellbook Little Boy Blue, because he's good for that reason in the deck. Next up, we run 3 trade-in, which I'm going to talk about when we get to a trade-in. Works well, like I said before, guys. Trade-in's going to work with your Blue Eyes Toon Dragon and also your Blue Eyes White Dragon. So it's going to work with these 2 level 8s right here. And we'll talk a little bit more about this when we get to Toon Table of Contents right now. So, like I said, 3 trade-in, and that's going to work with your Toon Table of Contents over here. So, Toon Table of Contents can search out itself if you're not familiar with Exodia. So you can go Toon Table of Contents, search Toon Table of Contents, search Toon Table of Contents. So what you're going to be doing pretty much, guys, is you're going to go Tune Table of Contents, search. So this is a simple 2-card play. If you just have Tune Table of Contents and Trade In and you open your hand, you can do this play as long as you don't get Ash Blossom, Drill, and Locked Bird or something like that. So you would go Tune Table of Contents, search Tune Table of Contents, search Tune Table of Contents, search Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, activate Trade In, and draw 2 more cards. So technically, if you look at the big picture of here, you're deck thinning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards from your deck. So you're searching and drawing 5 cards, so you're deck thinning by 5. That's pretty good in my opinion. So that's why we're running the Tune Table of Contents. It only has 1 real target, but it's just so nice to run. It's really nice. And if it becomes dead, you can just pitch it to the graveyard as fodder for Dark World Dealings or something else. So it's really nice. Next we run 3 Dark World Dealings. This is going to help you out in multiple different ways. It can help you power up your Incarnate, which is nice. It can help you draw cards in your deck and pitch dead cards out of your hand. So say maybe you drew Blue Eyes Toon Dragon in your opening hand, right? Well, you can still do Tune Table of Contents, Tune Table of Contents, Tune Table of Contents because you're deck thinning, and then the last Tune Table of Contents you can just pitch and draw a card. So that's something you can do. There's different ways like Whitestone of Legend. That's a great card to pitch off Dark World Dealings because you can go Dark World Dealings, okay, draw, pitch, Whitestone of Legend, get the effect to search Blue Eyes White Dragon, and if you have a trade-in, you continue on with your draw power to draw 2 cards. So you see how this is working out in the deck. There's multiple different things that this card works with in the deck to help precipitate and get effects off and just be beneficial. So overall, I really, really like this card in the deck, and it's been paying off dividends ever since I've been running it. So definitely a staple, in my opinion. 3 of in just about any Blue Eyes deck. Excuse me, Exodia deck. Next, we run 3 Spellbook of Secrets. Excuse me, double Spellbook of Secrets because it's once per turn. Same thing with Spellbook of Knowledge. It's once per turn, which is the reason why I'm running just 2 of it, because I find it can get bricky. Now, like I said, we're running Little Boy Blue, so this is going to work with a bunch of your different cards here. This is going to work with pretty much your Witch of the Black Forest, and also Little Boy Blue Spellbook of Prophecy. So Spellbook of Prophecy and Witch of the Black Forest is what Knowledge and Secret of Spellcasters is going to work with. Because this can search this, then you can search this over here. So that's deck thinning by 1, 2, and then you can activate this on this. So you're drawing another 2 cards, so that's 4. Or if you have Knowledge in Witch of the Black Forest, or Knowledge or Secrets, you can go normal summon, search, activate on Witch, get your search for Exodia, and you'll be additionally drawing 2 cards. Not bad. So that's why I like this in the deck. It works out pretty well. The little Spellbook Engine. Now, I said earlier in this video, you've probably heard me say it a couple times, I don't like running multiple once per turn cards. And I'm going to agree with you. That's very true, and that's why you're seeing certain ratios of certain cards. But Pot of Extravagance is just too good not to run as a 3 of. Because you really are never going to go into the extra deck. Like once in a red moon, not even a blue moon, once in a red moon are you probably ever going to go into the extra deck. So Extravagance is just free draws. This is kind of like Pot of Greed for this deck. Straight up, because the extra deck is just the extra deck. It's there. Okay? So Pot of Extravagance works wonderful in this deck. Because even if you draw multiple, and like I said, sometimes things will get Ash Blossom. Sometimes things will get Drill and Locked, but usually it's not going to be a first turn Exodia as much as it used to be because of those reasons. But if you're you activate one on 1 turn, one on the 2nd turn, I mean, come on, man, that's free draw power right there. So that's why I think this is a staple, and for that reason, because it's just such generic free draw power in this deck, it's a 3 of. So that's why I run it as a 3 of in the deck. Next up, we run 3 of the card that everybody loves, Mystic Mind. Now, you may be asking yourself, okay, I understand where you're coming from Mystic Mind. You've explained to me that this deck is a little bit solitary and what it does. But, you're normal summoning monsters, you're using their effects, you have Incarnate, you have Obliterate. Doesn't that mess around with how the deck functions? No, it does not. Because the fact of the matter is, you can easily are going to have a second Mystic Mind to go off on, usually. And then even if you have, guys, even if you have a little spellbook of prophecy right on the field, or you have something of that nature, what you're able to do is sometimes you're able to bait, if you play your cards correctly, you're able to bait out their hand traps. So you're able to bait out their Ash Blossom if you go in second or first. You may be able to bait out their Drill and Lockbird. If you play your draw cards right. So if you do play them right, what you'll have a situation is you'll be normal summoning your Witch of the Black Forest. You're not going to have to, and then you'll be activating your Spellbook of Knowledge, and you're not going to have to worry about a hand trap. So that monster's going to leave the field, leaving you with 0 monsters, if you get what I'm trying to say here. Thus, you're going to be able to get rid of it, so on their turn, and even for the rest of that turn, they're not going to be able to use their effects at all, really. So, while it is a little situational in some instances, the ability to search it out and the ability to clear your board whenever you want to for certain reasons is fairly okay. And if you want to go and Incarnate because your Mystic Mine got destroyed, maybe your Mystic Mine, you didn't draw into it this turn, for the last 2 turns perhaps, you can definitely just, maybe run something like Terraforming in the deck, which is nice, which is something I did consider. But that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. There's different ways of doing that very easily in this deck. So yeah, 3 Mystic Mine in my opinion works out well. We used to run things like Battle Fader, Swift Scarecrow in the deck, but Mystic Mine on its own covers so much more bases than those cards ever could for buying a turn. Next we run 1 Pav Duality, 1 Dark Factory, 1 Upstart Goblin, and 1 Day of Peace. So I'm going to talk about these for a minute because there are other options you can run in this deck, which I'm going to discuss a little bit now with you. 1 Day of Peace is staple. Upstart Goblin is staple. Okay, Dark Factory is in case things get to the graveyard. I've had instances where Incarnate or Obliterate is a little bit too slow, so for that reason I'll run things like Dark Factory to add back my dead Exodia pieces, not including my head, back from my graveyard to my hand to activate Exodia for my hand to win the duel. It's nice. Power Duality is a 1-for-1. It's once per turn, so that's why I'm running it just as a 1-of. I find it's a little bit bricky and there are better cards to run. Now there are other options you can run in your deck if you wished. I'm going to say Pot of Avarice is another option you could run if you want to. It is an option. And then Terraforming is an option for Mystic Mine. So these are 2 other options I just want to discuss to you about that I've tried out in the deck to see how they work. I prefer Terraforming probably over Pot of Avarice, but they both work out pretty well. So play around with those if you want. And then lastly, we run 2 Obliterate, because it works very well in this deck with the Exodia archetype, kind of quote-unquote. And it's a nice card to have overall. So 2 Obliterate. Let's go into the extra deck. Like I said, you can technically make this deck extra deck whatever you want to, but I decided to make it the best way I could, while also just having some fun with it. So your Link monsters are going to be the main thing you'll ever go for if you go for it, which is like Salamangreat Almirage, Under Clock Taker, Double Cerberus once in a while, once in a long, every 10 duel, 15, 20 duels where you go into the extra deck. Possibly. I've had 30 duels in a row. I've never gone to the extra deck sometimes. So it's just there in case. But 2 Cerberus, you have these, 2 Unicorn, and 2 Phoenix. So 2 Phoenix, 2 Nightmare Cerberus, 2 Nightmare Phoenix, 2 Nightmare Unicorn. These Link monsters, these guys right here I'm running duplicates of because these right here you will go for the most often if you do go for a Link play. 1 Blackluster Soldier of Chaos, 1 Borreload, let me scoot this down for you. 1 Borreload Dragon, Sword Dragon, and 1 Axis Code Tucker, which I'm going to put right there so you guys can see better. Now for your other cards, these are just in here for aesthetics, and just because I like them, because it's cool. Because we're running Blue Eyes, I just wanted to run Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, and Azure Eyes, the Silver Dragon. Black Rose Dragon, just because I love Black Rose Dragon, and same thing with Dragon Master Knight, just because I love Dragon Master Knight. So these here are just here for plain aesthetics, just for showing off and just banishing the just to make it a 15-card extra deck. So like I said, you can run whatever you want to. Heck, if you want to run just fusions, go right ahead. You're never really going to use the extra deck, rarely. And when I say 15 duels, every 15 duels you may go for 1 Link monster. That's being even generous, I think, to some degree. There's been duels, it's been 30 in a row, and there's been nothing. at all. So yeah, it's up to you to decide how you want to build the extra deck. But yeah, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I thoroughly enjoy this deck. It's a fun deck. It's Exodia. Like, who doesn't want to summon the unstoppable Exodia? And I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a big thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. And remember to subscribe and like to the channel. Take care, guys.